it was one of the mud people right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, you shot one of Chandlin's men? Like, no, I shot Chandlin, motherfucker. And he had to explain, no, it was somebody else. Nobody else is upset that I killed anybody. We're totally fine with that. We're just arguing semantics about a shoulder.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, the murder is the least of our worries.
Right, he was totally fine about that. It's just a thing that happens now.
Yeah. Richard is totally willing to go into this conversation the way she wants to, though, and is like, yeah, I was calling the target like I always do. Totally normal thing for me to do. He got to the point in his life where he wouldn't even shoot because he knew that he was going to get it. Like, he could feel when he hit the pocket, kind of, and he would just be like, nah, I don't want to walk because that's too far. So I'm just going to pretend like I shot it, and he wouldn't actually shoot it. Which I thought was funny. I would probably not want to shoot it either if I didn't have to.
I understand what it's saying here about Richard being so confident he's not even taking the shots. But at the same time, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? You're sure? You know how I normally make sure that where I'm aiming is the target? I mean, not with a bow and arrow, it's with a gun. But like, I shoot the target. And oh, yes, it is going right where I want it to go. Good. That is a satisfactory way to check. Richard just knows that he would sink the arrow, so he's not even trying.
Yeah. He explained this to Zed. He's like, hey, this is what I feel when I'm shooting. And Zed was like, that's not normal, bud. That's weird.
You're weird.
But what was funny to me about that, too, was that Richard didn't question it. It seems like Zed told him normal people don't do that. And Richard didn't ask questions after that. He was just like, oh, cool. I'm not normal. Got you.
Weirdo. Check.
Yeah.
Okay. You hungry? I know you're hungry.
Then he tells Kaylin, this time today when I shot the arrow, it was crazy easy. Like, it didn't even take any calibration. It just slid right into that pocket I was talking about earlier. And the headache went away. Splitting the arrow was like so boring by the time he was done. He was shaving feathers off of the arrows. Everybody else thought he was missing at that point, but he was doing something harder. And he didn't explain it to them because he was like, whatever.
Yeah, he had to have started challenging himself. Like, well, can I do this? Well, can I do this? Come on, no fucking way I did that. Can I do that again? Holy shit, I can. You guys, I think I'm Green Arrow.
You never hear about him because all he does is shoot arrows, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Finally, at this point, Richard admits that he knows that it's magic. He doesn't deny this anymore. He's like, yeah, that's what that was.
Finally, he's like, okay, some shit's going on here.
And Kaylin is not following the flashing red signs. And so he has to lay it out for her, like, hey, I felt your magic. I felt Zed's magic. I feel a sword's magic all the time. I fucking know magic, okay? I know it now. That's what this was. And that when he called the target today, he was also calling magic. He's recognizing that fact now. I think that he hasn't been just calling the magic this time. I think it's pretty obvious, to me anyways, that every time he's called the target, he's been calling magic his whole life.
He's been using it, he just didn't realize that's what it was.
Yeah, he had never recognized the feeling before because he never knew what he was looking for.
Right.
But he's not admitting that right now. Right now, all he's admitting is that he used magic today.
Right.
Which I think is an important distinction because he doesn't think still that he has magic. He just thinks he used it today.
Like it's an external force he's controlling somehow.
Right.
Which is basically the same as doing magic. Dude, you're using magic.
Yeah.
Just get over it.
Yeah. He's playing the semantics game here.
Yeah. And I mean, Kaylin, she keeps trying to explain it away. And this is what we were talking about a couple of chapters ago. Even though she knows that he's right, it's magic, she's trying to explain it away and just throwing different ideas out there to see. And a couple of them land. And then as she goes on, Richard's like, nope, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? And it kind of ends in a flop. Like, well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's magic.
So then the conversation turns to him catching the arrow. Because, I mean, if we haven't covered all of the magic that he did today, let's keep going. He said he made the air thicker. It was apparently his first thought in the moment. Like, I need to thicken the air. It would not be my first thought if an arrow was coming at me. I'm just going to throw that out there. That would not be my first or last thought, because I would not have that thought.
Because you would have been shot by an arrow.
I would have been shot by an arrow, yeah.
Maybe, oh shit, before the arrow struck you, but...
Oh, yeah.
Oh. We're from Michigan, so it probably just would have been, oh.
But he compares it to when he is using the sword. We have seen somebody else use magic or air in this way. When Zed was fucking with the Skreeling, this is how he was describing moving things.
Yeah.
With the air, was making it thicker or thinner, and that's how he was moving, like, the door and shit. So, whether he recognizes it or not, he is thinking like a wizard at this point.
Yeah, using the elements and what's around you to change your environment to get a desired outcome. It's pretty much what it is.
Right.
But it's complicated because, like you're saying, you literally have to change the air thickness and stuff. It's not like, woo, and it flew over there. You got to do shit to physically move something if you want it moved. You
can't just stop the arrow. You have to move the arrow somehow. Richard and Kaylin at this point tell each other that they love each other. But Richard admits he's freaked out. This is all scaring him. His headaches are freaking him the fuck out, and he thinks he needs to go see Zed in Aidendrill. Aidendrill? I need to check the...
It's Aidendrill. Aidendrill 1, hands down.
Okay. That's the one that I try to say every time, and then I'm like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I still have to question myself.
Even though I believe it is Aidendrill, and the votes said that they think it's Aidendrill as well, just the way the word is spelled looks like it's Aidendrill.
Like, I.
Yeah, I think that's where the confusion is coming from. But yeah, I'm going with Aidendrill.
He wants to find him to figure out why the magic is fucking with him so much. Kaylin, again, tries to refute every single one of his points, trying to hide her head in the sand. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any actual answers or solutions for any of the problems that he's, like, giving to her. She's basically just doing this to grasp at straws that her world isn't about to get turned upside down because of all of this. Because I think she knows if he does have magic, shit's about to change.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would assume that Zed would have to train him or teach him, like, how to be a fucking wizard, if that's what we're talking about. Is that what we're talking about? I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
If Richard is a wizard, that might even add a whole nother element to the fact that they're together. And that's scary.
Yeah.
She's just finally gotten Richard, and she's been able to love somebody, and dare I say, maybe even have a child someday with somebody, and not having it be this horrible thing. And now another big change is happening, and she's just not sure that it's not going to damage her slice of the pie, you know?
Well, on top of that, they're also talking about the Skreeling part of it, too. And Richard's, like, worried about all that and that it's his fault. And Kaylin's like, oh, maybe it's not. You know, we don't know. And he's like, but we don't know.
It's
okay.
Right. We don't know, but it's probably totally.
Yeah.
Maybe, definitely. Yeah. Possibly, for sure, my fault.
And he's worried that these headaches are going to kill him. They're not normal migraines. It's really legitimately worrying him.
Something's going to break. And it doesn't feel good. So I'm a little freaked out. I mean, you can't blame them.
No.
You know, we talked about them not having technology to where they can't look inside Richard's head and see, oh, it's a tumor. It's physically getting better. Your skull is going to explode. So who knows what's going on in there right now?
Right.
It could very well be something like that. They would have no way to know.
Internal bleeding. You never know. Kaylin agrees it's probably time to go find Zed at this point. But Richard points out that's not going to be really super easy to do if I pass out from my headaches all the fucking time on the way there.
Right.
He's just really pretty sure he's going to die. Like, all this planning, that's all great, but yeah, I'm probably just going to pass out and die.
I don't see Richard as being so resigned to the fact he's going to die. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. He totally is here, but why, dude? In the last book, you thought you were going to die a handful of times too, and you had a reason to keep fighting. Now there's no quote-unquote active bad guy, although you did have the Skreeling, and now you're having headaches. You think it has to do with your magic. Something is happening, and you have a person you can go to who can possibly give you the information you need to make it better. So don't assume you're going to die. Why don't you pick yourself up by the bootstraps like you did in the last movie and figure out what the hell's going on? Seek the truth, motherfucker. It's in your job description.
I got that feeling too when I was reading it a little bit, like, wow, he's really just like not even gonna try and find a solution, right? I think maybe the only answer I could come up with is chronic pain causes like depression. I don't know. I feel like if you're in chronic pain like that, sometimes your brain just is like, what's the point? What's the fucking point? I hurt. This is just going to end. And I'm okay with that kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I don't think I can understand it, but like we talked about my tooth blowing up and how bad that hurt. I don't think that brought me to have suicidal thoughts, but I mean, yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from. Like anything to make it stop.
And I mean, I guess we don't need to go super deep with like suicidal thoughts with it or anything, but I'm just saying I have had chronic pain for a very long time because of my back, and I could get where he's coming from. There's a long way between us and Zed, and I have a lot of pain. So,
yeah.
What's the fucking point? So at this point, Caitlin starts sobbing until she realizes that she needs to pull it back together and not make the dying man comfort her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's over here feeling sorry for herself, and Richard's literally saying, hey, I might die tonight, just so you know. But no, I'll comfort you and make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Sorry you're losing your fantasy boyfriend. That's got to be pretty rough for you.
Yeah. And it's funny because we were talking about how Kaylin does not want anything to fuck this up for her. And she's teasing Richard saying, look, you're not going to get out of marrying me this way, okay? Ain't going to work, Richard. You're showing up, dude. The dress is already being made. You're locked in. This is happening.
Yeah. We're going to figure this out one way or another. So now that Richard and Kaylin have kind of come back up from their real low place just a second ago, Sav, Westlin, and Sidon come back in for dinner. And they're all sitting down and having a fine time just chit-chatting when the Birdman shows up. And they didn't invite an extra person for dinner. I just want to throw that out there. He was not expected to this dinner.
No, and when he opens the door, his eyes are very wily, and he looks noticeably upset.
Yeah, he's got a whole group of men around him with spears, like protecting his ass. So shit is going down. It is not just like a friendly visit.
No, not at all. And he tells him, look, don't run. I can't do anything to help you. But there's 3 strangers here. And they call themselves the Sisters of the Light. This makes Kaylin freak out. Super visceral reaction right away.
Yeah. Like, she's sweating and can't control herself right now.
So obviously, these are not 3 fans.
No.
Coming to get his, signature on their little paper swords or seeker boots. I don't know. This is not a good thing at all.
No. And that's where we're done. It just cuts off right there with Kaylin ready to throw up because she's so freaked out.
It started so good, guys. Everything was going so well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the headaches and the squealing
and the intruder
thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the intruder and Zed and Chase didn't fare very well either.
Yeah.
And there's a busted door. Shit, maybe things aren't going so well.
No, we haven't even made it to chapter 10 yet, and there's already a couple problems.
Eesh. So. But yeah, there we are, left again. Another cliffhanger. Another chapter that ends, and it's probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and you're like, well, I'm not stopping here. Let's make some coffee and do this thing.
Yeah. But that's the end of us doing this thing. So if you have any thoughts about this chapter, good or bad, we would love to hear them. You can send us an email at podcastatt@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at podcastatt. You can also search on Facebook for all the things. Or if you'd rather send us a text or a voicemail, you can get a hold of us on our phone number at 616-259-0025. If you're interested in helping this podcast grow, then you can find us over on Patreon at podcastatt, and that's all we have for you today.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye.